Scrabble. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our annual awards ceremony. Thanks very much for coming out. It's a very exciting day for faculty and for staff to be able to celebrate some of the many achievements of our students. We're very proud of them, and it's great to have a chance to publicly recognize them today. I'd like to invite Dr. Irwin, the chair of the department, to give a few quick remarks before we begin.
Thank you, Dr. Scrabble. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How are you doing? It's such a privilege to be able to serve the Department of English as its chair. And one of the reasons that I take such pleasure in the role is because I get to work week in and week out with such great students and faculty in this department. And this is our favorite day of the year, where we get to take a few moments and honor all of the students, both undergraduate and graduate, who work so hard throughout the year, doing such great work. And we couldn't be prouder and more pleased with all the stuff going on in the classrooms here in Patterson Hall. Benjamin Franklin didn't have a whole lot of formal schooling, but when he was somewhere around the equivalent of our 8th grade or so, it occurred to him that if he was going to have any success in life, he would have to master the skills of reading and writing. So Ben Franklin, he was early apprenticed to his elder brother, a printer. But Ben Franklin would go to some of the better magazines of the day, and he would find essays in those magazines that he thought were peculiarly well written. And he would read the essay, and he would attempt to write a similar essay. And he would sit there and write an essay, and then he would hold the two essays side by side, and he would be very firm with himself that if his essay did not meet the standards set by the published essay that he had read, he would rip up his essay, throw it aside, and do it again. And he would repeat this process over and over and over again until he was able to master a particular writing style. And then he would start the whole process over again, find another essay, model it, write, rewrite, rewrite, until he was able to produce quality work. And it seemed to work pretty well for Benjamin Franklin, because we are still talking about Ben Franklin to this day. And he recounts some of this in his autobiography. I tell that story, that brief story, just to say that the work we do here in the Department of English is very much in the spirit of Ben Franklin's exercises in language and literacy and reading and writing and critical analysis. Our students, in doing their work, whether it's in a freshman composition class or a graduate seminar, are pursuing language and literacy and the study of structure in language and theory and literature in ways that, that push that human knowledge forward and produce such great work that we're celebrating today. So that's the end of my introductory speech, but again, it's so great to have all of you here. Congratulations in advance to all of the folks who are being celebrated today. I turn it back over to Dr. Scrabble.
I would usually do this at the end of the ceremony, but I know that Sarah Ellis has to leave a little bit early today, so I want to particularly thank Sarah and Belinda Franklin for all of their help in putting together the award. We have a new award this year, the Outstanding Undergraduate Student Award. Unfortunately, our winner, Amie Irwin, is attending an event for her daughter and can't be with us today. But I'd like to ask Dr. John Bensko to come up and just say a few words about Amie.
Well, it's really wonderful to have this award for Amie. She's really one of the best poets I've ever worked with in my many years, and she started out writing really well, really wonderful, rich language, and she just got better and better. She, as a junior, had one of her poems accepted in one of the best literary journals in the country, Prairie Schooner. And she has won, she was accepted, I think, 3 graduate programs with money. and she accepted a full fellowship for 3 years to go to Ole Miss, the John Grisham Fellowship, which is their top award for their graduate students. So she has no teaching duties. She just studies for 3 years. So I'm really proud of her, and I'm sorry she couldn't be here, but you know, I'm sure she wishes she were here. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Bensko. I'd like to invite Dr. Captain Lou Schultz to present the awards for the Josephine Riley Essay Contest and for the honors thesis.
All right, so I'll start with the Riley contest. This year we had 28 entries, so it was a large field, and there were some very strong competition. Each entry was read by 3 judges, and I administrated the contest, but I separated the names from the entries. And the judges for the contest were Dr. Theron Brick, Dr. John Miles, and Dr. Christina Maria Chermoni. So they had a big job to read all of those. And I'm very happy to announce our winners. We had both creative and critical entries. So it's a nice array of writing that we had a chance to read. So I will start with 3rd place. And 3rd place goes to Molly O'Sullivan. Her entry is called The Hat Box, and she wrote this for Professor Sarah Slutsky. Congratulations. Okay, this next winner has won more than 1 award. She's been very successful in the English department. 2nd place goes to Mindy Schaper. Her essay is entitled Desire and Consequence, The Fate of Dr. Faustus, and she wrote it for Professor Stacy Smith.
Wait, can we just pause for a second for a photo here?
Oh, okay. To redo the first one?
Well, let's redo the first one. That was not a still photograph. That was the first one.
Did it work? Yes. That's like my
Okay,
6-year-old
Molly,
son.
can you come back up here again, please?
Okay, so reenact it.
Yes.
Okay, so we're getting better at this as we go along. We should have practiced. So 1st place, Christina Guerin, who wrote the paper for my class. But Christina, I was not one of the judges, so it's not biased. Christina, though, had to be forced to enter. She's a very talented writer, but she needs to recognize that and put herself forward for more opportunities. So Christina's paper was called Walt, Whitman, and the Role of the Poet in History. So, Christina Guerin, to get that on the record, Christina Guerin. Congratulations, good job. Okay, so we had 3 thesis writers this semester who completed their thesis project, which was a major piece of writing, 30 to 50 pages of research, intense work. And I'm announcing all 3 of them.
Yes, yeah, and then drink those award, yeah.
Okay, so we had, I hope they're all here, Dana Cooper. Are you here, Dana? Yay! Okay, so Dana, she worked with Sage Graham on a project in applied linguistics, and her 2nd reader was Jeff Scrava, and I have a pin here for you from Sigma Tau Delta Honor Society. So come on up, congratulations. Rachel worked on a project with Dr. Catherine Martin, and her 2nd reader was Lori Cahoon. Rachel is also a member of Sigma Tau Delta. And we we also had Elisabeth Benson. There's Elisabeth. Elisabeth, I have noticed that she was a freshman, and she was extremely talented then, and she's just grown more and more in her talents. She completed her project with Dr. Ladrica Menson-Furr, and Lawrence Blackwell in the theater department was her second reader. And here again, for Sigma Tau Delta, we'll work that all out. Elisabeth, come back.
Good morning. I have had the privilege not only listening since freshman year, but since her junior year. And it was truly an honor when she asked me to direct her honors thesis on August Wilson. You never know what author, what text will move into. And Elisabeth, from the first Wilson text, moved the entire class. And I'll never forget her presentation on August Wilson's play, Gem the Ocean, which literally set the other 14 students into motion. Like, I need to try to beat her. This is what students should do. So it was such an honor when she asked me to work with her. It was a great honor for me that not only did she win the honors thesis award for our department, but Elisabeth also won the Student Research Forum Undergraduate Awards and Fine Arts Division Award for the a la carte honors program. Cash award that she got for that. So it is my honor to present this to Ms. Elisabeth Benson, who will go on to work in the nonprofit sector, because Elisabeth is an English major with a minor in accounting.
Now I'd like to invite Professor Carlos Bolton to present the Giem and Collins Awards.
Thank you, Dr. Schaper. Good morning, everyone, and all the guests here. I didn't realize I'd be up so quickly, but I'm really honored to be able to present this award on behalf of our former colleagues, Giem and Collins. This is always a privilege to me to present these awards because I know that the contestants who have submitted their entries have done a fine job at writing their best work, and so it's always a privilege to give out these following 12 awards, the Giem and Collins Contest Awards, a first, a second, and a third place winner. The prizes are $100, $75, and $50 respectively. And I'm really proud to announce this time around that it's not going to be a Tiger Bookstore gift card, but we have found out as of yesterday that they'll actually be getting cash awards in the form of checks. So this is going to make the award a little more enticing the next time around. In the past, been a little passive about that. This time we had like, I think 20 entries and we only awarded 12. But they were good entries. Before I call out the winners, I want to give thanks to my judges this time around. Thank you, Professor Tyler, for judging the 1010 section. Thank you, Professor Rhonda Powers, for judging the 1020 section. Thank you, Professor Dale Williams, for judging the 2201 section, and Professor Ayanna Adams for judging the 2202 section. And I have to acknowledge that all the judges this time around were first-time judges, so they were a little unsure what the process was. Although I guided them through, I didn't have a hand in choosing the winners, kept it anonymous. With that, I'm going to present to the first winner. The first place for the 1010 section goes to Isabella Gray for her entry to Early Birds. Is Isabella here? Isabella is a college freshman majoring in chemistry, and her entry to Early Birds was originally submitted to her professor, Rachel Smith. Thank you, Isabella. Congratulations. And with that, the second place winner, it's possible that she might not be here. It's Bria Crawford. She's not here. Okay. Well, at any rate, her professor was Boyd Baxter, one of our CAP members, and her entry was an ordinary person influenced by ordinary people to become extraordinary. imagine that was an extraordinary essay. Third place winner is Amber Nicole Williams. Is Amber Nicole here? Well, just to mention, okay, great. Amber is a freshman majoring in journalism, and her entry, Selling Seduction, was an entry originally submitted to Professor Stacy. Third place for the 1010 section, I'm going on to the 1020 section. First place for the 1020 section goes to Preston Blair, Researched Argument, Eugenics, a Modest Proposal. This is a student of Professor Stacy Smith. I believe Preston might be still studying as he is studying. Second place winning entry goes to Rachel Cooper. Okay. Rachel might not be here as well, but I must call out her title. Brownies and Vampires and Zombies, oh my. This is one of Professor Kathy Dice's students. We'll give this to her later. Third place winning entry goes to Ashley Franklin, Analyzing a Visual Text, Happiness in a Box. Ashley will not be attending today's ceremony. I believe she's studying as well. So we move on swiftly to section 2201. And the first place winner is Angela Patrick for an entry titled C.S. Lewis, The Power of Childhood Imagination and His Influences for the Horse and His Boy. Sophomore majoring in English with a concentration in creative writing, and her professor is Dr. Lloyd. One for creative writing. Second place winner is Liliana Clark. Class Conflict in the 20th Century, Social Inequality in Zora Hurston's Sweat, and the Music of Tupac Shakur.
All right.
Nice intersection. Hey, Liliana might not be here today, but I want to recognize her professor, Professor Stacy. Third place winner for the 1020 for the 2201 section goes to Kelsey Young, Life Lessons from Antiquity. Kelsey Young is an undeclared major at this time. Her winning entry was originally submitted to Dr. Catherine Martin. And for this final section, section 2202, in the interest of full disclosure, all three of the winners happen to be my students. And I can tell you that all three of them submitted the same assignment, which was a slave narrative that they had to write. It's an intersection between fact and fiction. One of my former summer school students coined the term friction. The first winning entry goes to Ms. Leah Hunt. Leah's Hunt is entitled Questions of Discontent, a genuine record of the extraordinary endeavors in the life of a black Indian slave, written by himself. Now, I have to mention, each student had to read their slave narrative before the class, and Leah got a bit emotional in reading her. She actually was a game changer for the whole class, and you can see why she won. It was an excellent essay. The second place winner goes to Alexis B. Kern. Her entry is entitled My Bow, the literal account of a slave master's daughter. Alexis is one of our English majors with a concentration in literature and an excellent writer. And the final winner, who will not be with us today, is Bria Gibson, who wrote her entry, The Weeping Horse, The Authentic Justification of a Fugitive Slave's Journey to Freedom. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bolton. I would like to Stankovich, who is over there, to present midst of STC Professional Writing Scholarship. We have 2 winners this year. One is for Caitlin Denny. Caitlin here. Okay, very good. Caitlin Denny has always taken pleasure in writing. Since a young age, she has been writing prose, poetry, and self-reflection. So her choice of an English major was no surprise. She specifically chose professional writing because, in her own words, in this technological age, web pages and multimedia appliances successfully compete with age-old newspapers and books. She's a great student, and we hope she'll be a great professional. Our second winner, and she also is winning the second award, is Mindy Schaper. All right. An avid reader and an aspiring writer of novels, Mindy Schaper has a passion for the interplay of human emotions. She wants to channel this passion into a career where she'll be able to help people deal with suffering. So she's getting a PhD in counseling. Meanwhile, her appreciation of precise and powerful language has made her a professional editor. She is currently working on an editing project for the University of Amsterdam. Leiden.
No, just Leiden.
Leiden, okay. To improve her editing skill, she joined our professional writing program. She's an excellent student and an active member of the Society for Technical Communication. It's a pleasure to confer this award. Dr. Stankovich. Laura Kuhn will present the Children's Literature Award. Plus a fancy prize there.
This award goes to Guerin Walker, and I worked with the other children's literature folks on the award. I want to thank all of my children's literature people, Kathy Dice and Stacy Smith and Eileen Henders and Elisabeth Tyler, and also Ren Benson and Tammy Jones for helping me with this. Guerin is somebody who wants to continue to work on children's literature, and her essay really looks at the complexity of the fantasy genre, taking a feminist approach to it. So it's fantasy, a tip of her own making, about Catherine Valente's work. So if you haven't read that and you're a fantasy fan, pick up Catherine Valente. Guerin, and I got her a journal, and she'll get a year's student membership to the Children's Literature Association.
And our final undergraduate award today will be presented by Professor Kathy Dice.
So I'm here to present the Emily Appleton Brooks Memorial Scholarship. Emily was a dear friend of mine for a long time. She was an adjunct faculty member both here and at Christian Brothers University for many, many years. She's a graduate of our own MA program in the 1970s. Emily passed away from cancer in 2006, and shortly after her death, her family established a scholarship in her name that is supposed to go to one of our undergraduate English majors, and preferentially to a student who intends to enter teaching as a profession. This year's recipient is Mr. Delaney Page, who is a double major in both English and philosophy and has the very, very shameful GPA of 3.98. He is enrolled in both the University Honors Program and the English Honors Program, so he'll be writing an English Honors Thesis sometime here, so very soon. And he intends to enter a graduate program, perhaps MA, perhaps PhD, to study literary theory so that he can combine his interest in both philosophy and literature and enter a career in academia. So he's going to be in the classroom for quite a long time. He works at a local restaurant in his spare time, has a double major in both English and philosophy. And he also spends time as a tutor for both middle school and high school students, so he's already getting a lot of good practice in working with students. His recommenders praised his work ethic and his outstanding performance in class. He has a keen mind coupled with a strong character. He is a very pleasant person to have in class. He never patronizes students who are struggling to obtain a basic grasp of the material, and his contributions are frequently couched in a manner that aids another student's understanding while encouraging the basic direction of that student's question. So high praise for Mr. Lane.
Can I just ask all of our undergraduate award winners to stand up again one more time, and we'll collectively recognize them as a group. And friends and family support systems of our undergraduate award winners, if you're here, would you please stand up and allow them to recognize you as well? All right, so we move on to the graduate awards, and I'm going to ask Professor Courtney Santo to come and award the Creative Writing Concentration Award.
This is terrifying. So many people are not here. I am really excited to present these awards. We're going to start with Chris Moyer, who sadly had to meet the cable guy and the telephone guy. Everybody else, because he moved into a new house. So, having moved about 1 million times myself, I remember this long. But I do want to say that his story, anywhere you lay your head, this is what the judge had to say about it. And I'll be reading the comments of the judges for each of these participants. This is an unusual story with two prickly and complicated characters trapped together in the hell of their own making. They come through the label of academic research. When a wife casually carves an excerpt for herself, the husband stays behind voluntarily, although the reader knows his future is bleak in every sense of the word. For him, though, what better way to end? He's making his mark and erasing hers. The easy contempt in this long-term marriage is beautifully unsentimentally portrayed. This is a writer of maturity and insight. And I always find, whenever I come across students who are writing about children or marriages and have neither, that I'm always amazed at how wonderfully able they are to present this. I had Chris in my class, and his work does present a depth and maturity. So, in absentia, congratulations, Chris. Devin Taylor, come on up. I know Devin's here, and I have to speak about her piece while she's actually standing next to me. She can blush wildly. Devin is one of our most dynamic students. She's our nonfiction. She's in nonfiction, and she's dynamic, and has really been some of the glue that holds a lot of this particular cadre together, and we've been so blessed to have her in the program. About her essay, There Is a Life, this is what the judge said. This nonfiction piece displays the qualities I admire in finely rendered fiction, including a strong, consistent narrative voice, a well-modulated pacing, gradual building tension that makes the reader continue turning the page, and the ability to treat difficult emotional subjects without succumbing to sentimentality or easy moralizing. And what we're really looking for in creative nonfiction is using all those fabulous tools that fiction have, but you have to tell the truth. So I, as a fiction writer, think it's intimately harder. I will never tell the truth. But Devin did an exceptional job. So congratulations, Devin. And for our poetry, backing up Laura's writing. Laura, I forced to take a fiction workshop, I think, this time. So I got her out of her comfort zone. Oh, shoot. Laura won for her poem, Lumen. Am I saying that right? Lumen? And this is what the judge would say about Lumen. Lumen maintains its unfolding with authenticity of emotion, taking clear responsibility for all the reflections brought into the field of the poem, never losing focus as it deepens in observational complexity, and the poem's complexity of cadences creates an edgy harmony that finds the fresh, culminating note of light. Deftly, the allusions to Bardamon from As I Lay Dying add a lovely clarity to the speaker's perceptions and of a relationship to the grandfather in the room. Congratulations, Laura. I think I usually see you from far away. I also have the pleasure of presenting our service awards, so I'm going to have Devin and come back up, and Aaron Converse. Aaron gets the award. So while you're climbing up here, I already mentioned Devin's service. Devin really took it upon herself when she came in as a first year to get the students talking to each other and get them more involved in each other. So she went from everything, and this is really a service. It's throwing parties at her house. Dread anybody come to my house. I don't know what I would do with that. But among that, she's been nurturing, and she also has a vested and sincere interest in animal rescue. How many of that now? 5. So it's not just us that she's been serving, but she's been serving the greater Memphis community. Erin does not know how to say no. So anytime I needed something, the first person I would think to email would be Erin, because she would immediately say yes, although then her face would show that she couldn't handle it. So I'm going to back off a little bit. Erin was instrumental in helping us to bring David to Eric's campus this semester. She worked tirelessly with his irritating people to make sure that we were able to have this wonderful cultural event. So congratulations.
Unscheduled event before we ask Dr. Hall to step up here. Dr. John Bensko is going to come up and tell us about some success that creative writing students have had in the Deborah Talbot Academy of American Poets Awards.
This is something that we just got the results of a couple of days ago. So every year we have the Academy of American Poets, which is a large organization, national organization. They have this program among colleges all over the country and Deborah Talbot, one of our alumni, was nice enough to endow this. So it's in perpetuity. We have this award, and each year we can either have 2 co-winners and 1 honorable mention, or 1 winner and 1 honorable mention. The winner gets $100, and I think there's some sort of option about eventually it's being included in an anthology that the Academy puts out. So this year, our winners were Clay Cantrell, who won, and Laura Woodrum, who was honorable mention.
Well, you're up now. Dr. Charles Hall.
Well, some of you have jobs. Some of you don't have jobs. But most people don't have a vocation. It comes from the Latin root, means to call. And indeed, the person who won our award was called. She had no choice but to serve and to work with those students who have no voice of their own. She actually invokes, she is an advocate, and she has many other vokes for the ESL community here in the Memphis area. And this is Margaret Yoder. Listen, it is not only that she works tirelessly in the school in which she works, but she also helps other students who are not as gifted as she is. She's in our PhD program and has helped so many students, both native and non-native, understand the complexities of becoming a new American, of giving people an actual voice so that they can communicate and participate in our community. Without Margaret, there would be many students here in the Memphis area who were less able to work with us effectively. Students who would have gone away from our community, who would have left us. So we want to thank Margaret, not only for the work she has done within the community, but the work she has done for the world. Thank you, Margaret, so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hall, and I'd like now to invite Dr. Josh Phillips to present the literature concentration award. And Lori Cahoon is going to do that. I'd like to invite Dr. Lori Cahoon to present the literature award.
Josh asked me to make this presentation. I'm happy to do it. Marilyn Kester wrote this paper for me in a class in the fall on women and girls at work, leisure, study, and play. And she wrote it about Louisa May Alcott's old-fashioned girl, making some really interesting connections between a scene with the sculpture, an empty-handed sculpture made by a woman, and the Pygmalion story. So she also won an international prize from the Children's Literature Association for the best PhD student for this paper. So I'm very proud of her paper, and I'm proud to have her represent the literature concentration as well. So,
here to present the Department Service Award.
As you can hear, we do many awards for our research, for our teaching of our students, but our students do a lot of other work, outside of the classroom. You know, Devin and Guerin are recognized for creative writing, but this award is for Elisabeth Allen. Recently, our graduate students came together to create our English graduate organization, and in the few years that this organization has existed, they've really transformed the English department in creating some new programs and working together to, you know, as important to bringing the students together so that they can work on their academics as well as all of the other aspects of becoming English professionals. So, Elisabeth, come on. Elizabeth is our first EGO president, but I'd also like to ask, these are about their name. And also, if there are any other officers that we have been in the cycle, if you would stand. Any of our graduate students that have served with officers?
Thank you, Dr. Graff. Both of the winners of the Graduate Research Award this year come from the Creative Writing concentration. And I'd like to ask Dr. Christina to award these.
Good morning. I'm so proud of our creative writers, and I'm so pleased to present these awards today. The first award goes to Elisabeth. And Alyssa has been such an essential part of our creative writing MFA program over the last few years. She's an incredibly talented writer and editor. She's assisted, worked on the Pinch and assisted with all of our events with the Pinch in Memphis and beyond. And she's a wonderful teacher as well. So it gives me great pleasure to present this to her Graduate Research Award. And our second winner is Tom. And again, I'm so delighted and so proud of the talent that we have in our program. Tom also is not only a wonderful writer, but a wonderful teacher. He's also worked extensively with the Pinch and represented the Pinch Journal in Memphis and beyond. And I just want to say a little something about his research work, partly because I'm his thesis advisor and I watched it. You know, Tom is doing some very interesting work in creative nonfiction in terms of it being a hybrid genre. And he's working with cultural criticism and the lyric and the personal essay, and it has to do with the music of Los Angeles in the 1970s. So it's a really fascinating project. So congratulations.
our next award is the Dr. Lawrence and Sarah Wynn Fellowship, which is the most lucrative of our graduate awards. And I'd like to ask Dr. Sarah Wynn to come and introduce the winner.
Stephen Lee, this year's winner. I've known Stephen for 2 or 3 years now. I think he's taken 3 seminars with me, so he's a little bit masochistic. Maybe that's why he's getting this. No, I'm very thrilled that Stephen is receiving this highly competitive award for many reasons. One of which is not only because he consistently does excellent work for the seminars, meaning doing reading, giving presentations, writing a seminar paper, but he also consistently tracks down research projects and reading that go well above and beyond the simple reading requirements on a graduate syllabus. And this has led him to do some really interesting work and actually to discover some stuff that a lot of people haven't even really paid attention to. So for example, in one class he did a paper on looking at Italian futurism, which was a very small, short-lived movement prior to the First World War. And not only did he get invested in this very kind of obscure movement, but tracked down the one known existing novel that was published out of this movement and actually did a very original project on this very obscure kind of document, if you will. More recently, Stephen's begun doing research for his doctoral dissertation, which is also really exciting. He's looking at modernist manifestos, something that many modernist scholars acknowledge as being important, but nobody, to my knowledge, has done really a sustained study of these rather obscure kind of cultural historical artifacts. And so Stephen's going to be writing his dissertation on these modernist manifestos, and it's something that I think promises to make a real contribution to the field of modernist studies. And so I'm very pleased that Stephen's receiving this, again, very competitive award. So Stephen, you can come up.
The Dr. Lawrence and Sarah Wynn Scholarship is specifically for the best student in British or American, Victorian or Romantic literature, and I'll ask Dr. Irwin to come and present this award.
As Dr. Schaper just mentioned, this particular scholarship and award goes to a student who's working in either British or American literature, primarily in the second half of the 19th century. And since I have the good fortune of doing some work in that area myself, I get to meet a lot of the students who work in the late 19th century, who come through the graduate programs here at the University of Memphis. And our recipient of the award this year is Kelly O'Brien. Kelly, come on up. I'm going to talk about I've known Kelly she gets to be embarrassed while I talk about her for just a minute as she stands here. I've known Kelly for a few years, and she's been a student of mine in a couple of graduate seminars, and has always brought great commentary and critical insight to our discussions, and I've really enjoyed having her in those classes. But I have to tell one anecdote. It's not, although it's not related to those classes necessarily. So every year in May, it's the annual American Literature Association Conference. This is the biggest, best-known gathering of scholarly minds in American lit every year in the U.S. And it's held Memorial Day weekend of every May. And a few years ago, maybe 2 years or so ago, Kelly, I was heading up there, and I go into this session in which there's going to be a roundtable discussion of the works of Kate Chopin. And some of the best-known scholars who work on Kate Chopin and other late 19th century women writers are up there getting ready to give their presentations. And who do I see? Right there in the middle, sitting between all these nationally prominent scholars, is our own Kelly O'Brien. So that's a bit of a testament to the good work that Kelly is doing, and we couldn't be more proud of her. So Kelly, this is for you. Congratulations.
William and Martha Donegan Graduate Scholarship.
This award is going to Everett Wade, and I've known Everett since he was an undergraduate here and took a Shakespeare class with me. Excuse me. And since then, I've had the good fortune to have Everett in a bunch of my classes, and he's written fantastic papers on Spenser and Shakespeare and Chaucer. He's one of those students who actually winds up teaching the professor something. And when I had a year off a couple of years ago, I was asked who could fill in to teach an upper level 16th century class, and the only person I would trust with my class was Everett, and that's a real testament to his excellence in scholarship and teaching. As you'll see, well, you'll see when he comes up. I've also had the occasion to see him in the gym sometimes, and I've had to work on his weightlifting techniques a little bit, but I think he's really made some progress. So anyway, Everett, come on up and take your award.
Sharp Scholarship is specifically designated for students who have completed all the requirements for their degree except for writing the thesis or the dissertation. And we have one creative writing winner here doing his MFA, Chris Moyer, who is still waiting for the cable guy. And we have one PhD from the literature concentration, and I'll ask Dr. Steve Bashnik to introduce him.
I'm absolutely delighted to present this award to Hal Scott. He's eminently worthy of the award. Hal loves to do research and to write. As a result, he's in the middle of a wonderful dissertation on British World War I military memoirs, which I fully expect will be publishable when it's finished. And selfishly, I have to say that I'll be sorry when Hal is finished because I'd really love to work with him. That's Hal Scott.
And I will ask Dr. Phillips to come up again and present the Dorothy R. Say Graduate Award in English.
This is a new award this year, and I am very delighted to confer upon Lisa Sicking. Lisa Sicking is a PhD student who is right about to take her exams, and she came to us from University of Washington at University of Washington. And what a gift that was from the University of Washington. She has been an outstanding graduate student, a real model of what you want a graduate student. She does excellent research. Her focus is on women and gender in Renaissance and drama through the 18th century, and she is a great presence in class and a great presence for the other graduate students, and a model of what I hope our graduate students will be. So, Lisa, please come on.
Dr. Phillips. Now I'm going to ask Dr. Susan Popham to come up and talk about two awards which have recently been created in honor of our own Becky Argall.
That's great. For over 40 years, one of our colleagues, Rebecca Argall, has been the cornerstone and the mainstay of the work that we do in this department, namely teaching. And for many of us, assistant professors, associate professors, full professors, teaching assistants, anybody who taught in this department worked with Becky as she mentored them and guided them and helped them along. And so on this, her final week in the department, we wanted to kind of memorialize her work with us by having this plaque, and to remember the teachers who have done really great work with us. So the next two awards will be in honor of Rebecca Argel. And to that, I will turn this over to Courtney Santo and Tammy Jones, both teachers who worked with Rebecca Argel.
Go first. That's too bad that I have to go first because I feel a little bit weepy about it being Becky's last day. Everybody who works in this department knows that, and it's easy to see on a day like today, this is a great department. Great students, but really great teachers. So to be recognized for good teaching in this department is a feat, because all of the teachers are really such high quality. You might think that in a company of such really good teachers that to be recognized you would have to do something, you know, Dead Poets Society-ish to get attention. But honestly, what stood out about Kaylin Burbis, who is going to get the Becky Argel Award for UTA, is just the consistency, just the really high level of good teaching day after day after day after day. And for any of us on this side of the desk, you know that that is hard to pull off. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10-10, and then a new prep, the spring semester, the 10-20, it is tough to pull off, and Kaylin has managed it. I work with Kaylin because he is in the CAP program, and so I had the privilege of mentoring 5 really good teachers. We met independently of the CAP group every other week just to kind of brainstorm lesson plans, to kind of get ourselves together. Kaylin always brought something that helped the other teachers in that group, helped me. And so I think that all of the teachers in that group went to class better prepared as a result of Kaylin's contribution to the group. And I personally know, I've observed him formally 2 or 3 times, but Kaylin has a really loud voice, a good teaching voice, and he teaches right across the hall from my office at 9-10 on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And even with his door shut, and even with my door shut, I can hear what's going on in the class, and so I can testify, and all other evidence, other independent observers, formal evaluations that students have given, anecdotal remarks that folks on the first floor. This guy has students for his office hours stacked up. He works with his students, and so we're really lucky to have Kaylin Burbis to receive this award.
Gabby is such a good cat mentor. I feel a little out of place when I'm sitting in the cat room. I listen to her comments, and I'm always like, ooh, that's still that. I use it for my cat. Elsa Campagnier, come on up. She's the recipient for the senior, is that what we're calling it? The senior TA. I have a quick story to tell about Elsa. There was a time in which, I'm sure this is like reflective for Sunday, when her funding was in question, and she was not sure if she was going to get funding, and there were some questions about that. And she had to make a decision whether or not she was going to just take class, or just get some funding and not teach, or whether she was going to use her funding and teach. And Alyssa, we had some conversations about it, and she decided that no, she had to teach because that's what she had to do. And I think that spirit really personifies her attitude towards the classroom. And Tammy's right, it is about consistency, but it's also about inspiring. And she really knows how to inspire students who want to try to raise their game up a little bit. Which I know all of you who have stared down those athletic faces, and how hard that is, and how hard that is to consistently be there. So I just am delighted that Elsa.
Thank you very much. And the final award we'll be presenting today is our highest honor for a graduate student in the department, the Outstanding Graduate Student Award. And I'll ask Dr. Benson to come up again and present that award.
One of the great things about being a creative writing teacher is getting to work with people that you feel like you're going to go out into the world and publish really wonderful things. And I think one of the best compliments that a creative writing teacher can pay to a student is that you're envious of their work. And Elisabeth Cameron is somebody whose work I'm envious of. She's just a wonderful writer. She writes very lyrically. She writes in, just wonderful prose. She creates these wonderful senses of place in her work. Her thesis, The Age of Sail, Stories and Novella, is primarily set in the Pacific Northwest, and it just really took me there. It really made me feel like I was in that place with those people. And one of the things that I'm really envious of is the way she develops characters. She just can create such a complex sense of characters in her stories. And so I'm really happy to be able to award this Outstanding Graduate Student Award to her. And you have to come up here and get it.
I got to help out that piece. It's really exciting. Plus, I like her. The town she writes about, she grew up in, is like the town my grandparents lived in. I'm very excited about this work.
Thank you. So let's take a moment again to recognize all of our Graduate Student Award winners. Could I ask you all to stand again, please? Friends, family, support systems of those graduate students doing all the hard work while you're studying. You'll notice that on the next page of your program we have a list of the students who have completed MA theses, MFA theses, and PhD dissertations. I won't read all those individually, but I know we have a few of those students with us today. If you are on this list having completed this daunting project, would you please stand and be recognized now?
There was one left off. Justin Lizader got left off.
Okay, Justin Lizader. All right, we're almost at lunch. There is an incomplete list of judges here on the back of your program, but I'd like to ask everyone who participated in the judging for these awards, which was in some cases a tremendous amount of work, to stand up and be recognized for their contributions. Lunch will be just down the hall here, but just before we go, I'd like to ask Dr. Graff to talk about the press releases and photos and so forth in case you want to use material from our ceremony to promote yourself.
I'm very excited to see all of our friends and family here today. Of course, we know that not everyone can make it in the middle of the day. And so today's program will be on our YouTube channel sometime next week. We can get it up there, so you can look at that and please let people know. We've also posted a press release that if you'd like to put this in your hometown newspaper, please do so and please let us know so we can celebrate with you. Your pictures will be available on Flickr, and there's a little bit of sort of text. So please feel free to use those, and again, we're very proud of you, so we want everybody to know.
you.